And good evening, everyone, and welcome to Little Falls Flyer Baseball Field. It should be a fun conference matchup between the 2-1 Little Falls Flyers and the 3-2 Foley Falcons. My name Corey Fink, and just like last Thursday, sitting alongside me, Doug Dahlberg. Good afternoon, Doug.
Good afternoon, Corey.
Yeah, this should be a fun matchup. Now, Little Falls, the last time we saw them, they struggled a little bit to get the bats going. They ended up losing 3-0 to Sartell, but they did hit the ball squarely several times. What do the Flyers need to do to get the balls in play here today and come up with a few hits against one of the best pitchers for Foley, Thorsten, starting tonight?
Right. I think it's, again, as we've talked about with our challenging spring sometimes around here, it's a cool. Again, I think it's going to be staying the course for the Flyers, sticking to their game plan, and hopefully trying to get the ball in play and make some guys plays. As you know, when you're standing out in this stuff, it's cold. So as an outfielder, as an infielder, if you're standing out in the cold, sometimes you might not be as focused. You're more focused about staying warm than making the play, and hopefully they can put some pressure on them.
And for this particular game, the pitching matchup is going to be Derek Poser for the Little Falls Flyers, and then it is Jake Thorsten for Foley. First, what we know about Jake Thorsten, he's one of the returning pitchers. He had the third most innings for Foley last year, the most innings returning for any starter. He went 5-1 last year with a 2.5 ERA. He has one loss so far on the young season, got beat by a good Piers team 2-1, but this should be a tough matchup. But Little Falls is going to count Derek Poser, a guy who, like most men on the Flyer staff, has the ability to throw strikes, keep the infielders and the outfielders active and on their toes. I've always felt when you're playing baseball, if you have a pitcher that throws strike, it's a lot easier to play better defense behind him.
Absolutely. It's a key. It keeps everybody involved in the game. They're ready for that. They know a strike's coming, so they know more than not it might be hit to them. Be ready.
Yeah, we just want to thank everybody for viewing tonight's matchup. It is Foley and Little Falls. This is on Flyer Media Productions. Our crew this evening, Bradley Youngblood and Archer helping out with the cameras, and of course Dave Gertz helping out with the Flyer Media Production. Today is on Charter 181. It's also on the YouTube channel and the Cube. Several opportunities to watch what should be an exciting Flyer baseball team after the Easter holiday weekend. A little different because you had several days off, but every single player is ready to go here today.
Absolutely, and I think they had some, like you said, the long break and stuff. Sure, they got their work in, so hopefully they'll be ready to go.
And as we start up this first game after the Easter holiday break, all pitchers will be available. So for Little Falls, we'll start with their defensive lineup. Derek Poser will be pitching in the first half of the inning. Starting behind home plate, catching for the Flyers, Brett Chakowski, who will be batting in the number 8 spot. The infield is as follows. First base, second base, Joe Allholm. Shortstop, Jake Capel. Third base, A.J. Jinks. And the outfield from left to right, Dylan Lukasavich in left. In center, Austin Wise. And in right field, Adam Josephson. A solid defensive lineup, very similar to what we saw last week for Little Falls. Anthony Vetter looks like he's the one out there starting at first base, and the DH, who is Mitch Boros, will be the one hitting for him in his spot of the order. While I don't have a numbers on them this year yet. They're off to a 3-2 start. They played 3 games the first week. They went 2-1. They lost to Albany this past week. They also lost a little earlier in the season. They have a few players coming back, including near the top of their order. Noah Winkleman is batting second. He had 24 RBIs and 6 home runs last year, batted over 400, so that's going to be the man to watch. And the Flyers, I don't want to say they're going to pitch around him and you don't want to walk him and put him on base, but if there's any player you don't want to give an opportunity to beat you, Winkleman, you got to pitch with extra attention when you're on the base path.
If they get guys on base, they're going to be looking for him to drive in those runs and get them going.
And for the Foley lineup, if we can see that here for just a moment, the Foley lineup is as they'll start off with Drew Bayer. He has been the lead hitter. And then the number 2 hitter, Noah Winkleman, the aforementioned Winkleman. Tanner Brosh is the designated hitter. Ian Von Wald, the catcher. In center field, Mark Here's their third baseman, first baseman Noah Novak, left field Grant Mumm, and second baseman Alex Foss batting in the number 9 spot. The Flyers have already taken the field here, and we're just about to get set on what is going to be a cool evening, but we got the opportunity to watch this game from field and in the confines of a comfortable vehicle too. Thanks for getting us out of the wind here tonight, Doug.
Absolutely. I'm as excited as you are about that, Court.
Yeah, so the players, hey, they're not going to be thinking about the cold weather. It's always nice, and we're already in play. Ooh, boy, a little chopper back to third base, and the throw from Jenks over to first to Vetter, and the first hitter is retired. I was thinking they were still doing some warm-ups, and they were in action there, so a 5-3 grounder leads off the top of the first inning, and Byer is retired, and that will bring up the dangerous Noah Winkelman. Winkelman looks to be a left-handed batter here. Derek Poser, long wind up, and this is a high fly ball into left field, giving chase. Now going back a little bit underneath, the grab is made. Nice catch in left field for the Flyers. And that time the grab was made out there and left by Dylan Lukasavich getting underneath it. He followed it, was pushing it back a little bit towards the corner, but he stayed with it and made the...
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say too. You know, one of the things that maybe you can't see on the telecast is it's very windy here today, and that is going to play tricks with those balls, especially those fly balls. And it looks like he struggled with that one a little bit. Was routine ball into not quite a routine ball. So nice grab by Lukasavich.
Yeah, so for the grab for Lukasavich, and now a single is going to be laced into right field just over the glove that time. The outstretched glove of the second baseman Joe Alholm, who tried leaping up, but after a fly out to left from Winkelman and a ground out to the third baseman, first two hitters were retired. Tanner Brosh reaches on a single into right field, and with the 2 outs in the top of the first inning, Foley will bat their cleanup hitter, catcher Ian Von Wald. Poser now has to watch the runner at first base, takes a couple of steps towards second, fakes running that time, Tanner Brosh did, but then has to run back as the catcher for the Flyers, Chakowski, did a good job smothering that ball. Got a few feet to the left of him, or right, but he was able to keep it in front of him and avoid that runner getting into scoring position. Now a roller down the first base line, and this is going to be, looks like maybe an error might have to be charged here, as Ian Von Wald is going to reach on a slow roller that was just misplayed off the glove of the first baseman. I think that's Vetter out there at first base, so we'll have to charge the error on Vetter. Move to second, and Von Wald is aboard at first base, and now Foley's got runners at first and second. They've got their ace on the mound, so Little Falls can't afford to give up any runs early in this contest.
Yeah, it looks like Vetter slipped on that one. Maybe here with the rain that we got earlier today and stuff, but normally sure-handed Anthony Vetter, and he just had bad luck on that one.
He got underneath it. It just rolled away from him, was almost able to make the play afterwards. But now from the stretch and driving this one into the outfield in left field, the runner puts on the brake, third base, throw back into the infield that time for the Flyers in left. Making the quick play was Lukasavich, but after a second single, 2-out rally, the bases are loaded. Von Wald is at third, Brosh is at third, Von Wald is at second, and Drew Murphy with a single. And now the bases are loaded for a tough defensive team. Foley, a chance to strike here, but there are 2 outs in the first inning. First pitch missing, low and away, ball 1, 1-0 the count with 2 down, top of the first inning. Poser having to work from the stretch a little bit. Little Falls 1 error already this inning. This time a breaking ball called strike, and Little Falls running a defensive play, faking the throw to second base as Alholm came flashing over. Faked the play there, but the catcher Chakowski threw home. This time a breaking ball misses, 2-1 the count. So 2-1 count, 2 down, nowhere to put the runner. Bases loaded. 6 hitter, and this is a fly ball, center field, underneath it, and the catch is made. Austin Wise in center with the grab. So 2 hits that inning, 1 error, 3 left on base. set, but Little Falls does not surrender any runs. No damage done officially, and Little Falls will come to bat here in the bottom of the first inning. So escaping a jam.
Absolutely. They dodged a bullet there with the error, and fortunately that last hit, the ball really hung it up to center, and unlike the one to left, it was right into the teeth of the wind, and that was an easy.
And the catch was made by Austin Wise, who is the son of Neil and Julia Wise of Little Falls, a high school senior who I saw a picture of earlier this week. I don't know if it was officially Monday or maybe last week, but it was a little earlier this week. Austin Wise signed the letter of intent and is going to be playing baseball next year at Bemidji State University.
Absolutely. Bemidji, I think, has a long history and tradition here in central Minnesota, and especially Little Falls and Swanville and Sobieski area, that some strong baseball here, and I think it's a recruiting hotbed for them, as they have some good players who know how to play it right, and it's good for us in Little Falls to be able to see some of these kids continue their careers on.
Yeah, not just Bemidji State University, but everywhere from South Dakota State to Bemidji State, Mankato, St. John's University. There are several Flyers the last few years that have gone on to play collegiate ball after that. And when we talk about baseball, it's not just collegiate ball, but the summer ball here with the Victory League is a league that the Little Falls baseball represented him for a long time.
Absolutely.
So the lineup for Little Falls here as we go to the bottom of the first inning after Foley left the bases loaded in the top of the first. Austin Wise, the center fielder, will bat. Joe Alholm, second baseman, is in the number 2 slot. Jake Capan due up, the number 3 hitter for the Flyers. Banks will bat cleanup. Then Mitch Boros, the designated hitter. Derek Poser, the pitcher, batting in the 6th slot. Dylan Lukasavich in left. Brett Chakowski, the catcher, and Adam Josephson in right. That's the lineup for Little Falls. Defensively now for the Foley Falcons. Foley coming into this one 3-2. Little Falls 2-1 on the year. Pitcher Jake Thorsten 0-1 this year, but was 5-1 last year. Catching for the Falcons, Ian Von Wald. Over at first base, Noah Novak. Second baseman Alex Foss. The first pitch coming to Wise. Over at shortstop Drew Bayer, a left-handed pitcher Thorsten, and laying down a bunt. Wise trying to leg it out down the first baseline. He's going to have an infield single, and Austin Wise is aboard to lead things off for Little Falls. Just a nice laying down the bunt right down the first baseline if it was fair, and it was. Wise is aboard with an infield single.
Yeah, that was a nice bunt, Corey boy. Nice drag bunt right down the line, and with Wise's speed, it was going to take a heck of a play to get him, and as you see, they didn't. So great start for the Flyers.
Yeah, Joe Alholm will bat next, and watch Wise at first base. I know there's nobody out here. You don't have to send him already, but if he can steal second, he takes a couple of steps towards second base, and then the pitcher misses down and in. Now, if you're a pitcher, does having the speedy runner like Wise at first base take your attention away from the batter at home plate?
It's always on your mind, but the nice thing with Thorsten here is he's actually a lefty, so he's going to get the opportunity to kind of see. So it's a little bit of an equalizer being a left-handed pitcher with somebody on first, because the runner's thinking just about as much as the pitcher is about the runner here.
That last one rode inside, almost hit Alholm, but it's missed inside 2-0. And now breaking ball outer half of the plate, 2-1 the count. Wise, the runner at first base on an infield single, just laying down a perfect bunt down the first baseline. And the Flyers have a runner aboard here, nobody out. Bottom of the first inning, trying to score the game's first run. Foley left the bases loaded in the top half of this inning. Now taking off for second, and the throw over to second base, not in time. It was a swing and a miss, strike, and then the throw to second base, but feet first slide. Austin Wise is in with a stolen base, and now the Flyers, with a count 2 balls, 2 strikes to the hitter Joe Alholm, have Austin Wise in scoring position at second base. And this one struck well, but right at the outfielder in left, drifting a few steps back, making the grab and getting it back into the infield. Wise had to stay at second base because it was hit on that side of the outfield. If it goes into right, farther away from third base, then maybe Wise has a chance to take up. But because it was right in front of the third baseman, he didn't really have an opportunity that time.
Yep, absolutely. And I think in baseball, typically a rule of thumb is if it's hit to you when you're typically going to try to take an advantage of and advance that base. So good play.
All right, so now breaking ball missing down and away to the number 3 hitter for the Flyers, a shortstop, Jake Capan, with a cleanup hitter, A.J. Jinks, on deck. Opportunity to put the Flyers on the board, take an early lead here in Little Falls. That breaking ball seemed to miss high. 2-0 the count to Jake Capan. Mitch Boros would follow Jinks in the order. There is one down and a runner at second base. Austin Wise led off the inning with a bunt single, then stole second. The last at bat, Allholm ended up flying out to left field. Now a strike taken and the count 2 balls, 1 strike. Good opportunity to make the pitcher work a little bit here. Capan waiting this 2-1 pitch. And it's a pickoff move to second. Oh, the ball got away from the shortstop Bayer, but only into shallow center field. Wise had to stay at second. That one was a close pickoff play. Wise head first slide, had a chance to get back. Almost an opportunity to advance.
Didn't leak far enough away, but boy, a few more feet and I bet you Austin would have been gone.
Here this pitch missing down below the knees, and 3-1 hitter Jake Capan. First base is open, but Capan with a single to the outfield might be able to score the speedy Wise at second base. This one is lifted, flaring down the right field dugout. And now the count is full. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Jake Capan, the hitter, A.J. Jinks on deck, 1 down. Bottom of the first so far, no score between Foley and Little Falls. We expect this to be a relatively low-scoring game today. A chopper towards third base. Wise takes third. Charging in the throw over to first. They get the out at first, do the Falcons. Capan tried running it out, but was retired on a 5-3 round out. The throw beat him by only about a half a step, as the third baseman for Foley that time, Mark Durkis, made a nice play charging in and throwing with, carrying him towards first.
Yep, he did. That was a nice slow roller, allowed Wise to advance to third. And now hopefully we can get him in here and kind of turn the momentum around after the top of the first where the on a jam. It'd be a great start to the game and kind of a momentum changer here to get on the board first.
Yeah, you got to score first. It's one of the focus of the Little Falls Flyer baseball program, but also come up with 2-out hits. So here's an opportunity to do 2 of those 5 offenses of the game. Couple of pitches high and away, 2-0 the count. Then a cleanup hitter, A.J. Jinks, at the plate with a runner at third base. That's Austin Wise with 2 outs. He's going to be taken off at contact. This time breaking ball for a strike. 2-1 the count. It's the first time through the order Thorsten doesn't seem to be throwing any fireballs in there, but he's got good movement on his breaking ball, and you just got to stay with it on the left-hander delivery.
Yeah, it looks like the Flyers' game plan is to be patient and make him throw a lot of pitches, kind of work the counts deep, and just let everybody see what they can get. As you said, he's a fireballer, so kind of hold back on some of the off-speed stuff and see what they can do.
Couple of foul tips off the bat of A.J. Jinks, and we've got another 2-2 pitch upcoming. Another pivotal moment. Little Falls escaped the top half of this inning after retiring the first 2 Foley batters, then an error, couple of back-to-back singles, and it was a jam, bases loaded, but got out of the inning with a flyout to center. Here, a flyout on the edge of the infield is going to make the grab, and that was Noah Novak that caught the ball and retired A.J. Jinks and the Flyers in the top half of the first inning. They bat 4. They had an infield single, a 1 runner left aboard on third base. Full inning, both teams threatened to score. Neither do. It's still scoreless heading to the top of the second.
Good start for both teams there. I think kind of faced some adversity right away there, and now they kind of get the flow of the game going, got a few people through the lineup. So see what we can do here, see kind of next round, I guess, so to speak.
You know, heading into the season, Little Falls from the State High School League had the number 4 ranking in Class 3A, largely due, I'm sure, to the success from last year's team and all the returning talent, getting a lot of really reputation for this year's club. It also helped what Little Falls was able to do starting off the year with victories over Mora and a victory they've got a game weeks, but then also coming up with that nice win over St. Cloud Cathedral. This could be an important conference game. I don't know if Cathedral or Foley or Albany, who's going to be the front runner of the rest of those teams. Little Falls could easily challenge for a Granite Ridge Conference regular season And tonight, this could be one of those games you're thinking back saying, Little Falls wins, they might win the conference by 2 or 3 games. If they lose, all of a sudden maybe Albany comes away with it. So this is a pivotal game if you're looking at adding to that trophy case, which I'm sure is always a focus every year.
Absolutely, and I think it just goes to show that every game is important, and like everything we've seen, whether it's pick your sport, football, basketball, whatever, there's a reason they play the games. There's no pushovers here, and you're going to need to win the games that you're supposed to win and hopefully win some of the ones you're not supposed to.
In foul territory, running after it and making the catch, A.J. Jenks makes the play. That time, Noah Novak flew one up in foul territory. A.J. Jenks was chase, and he had enough room as that fence line extends beyond the Foley dugout, and A.J. Jenks made the grab at third base. Really well played, tracking that one. And already one down here in the top of the second inning. So the Flyers, one pitch, one out. That's an effective start for a pitcher.
That was a great catch, too, absolutely. And he came right back with a strike. So now we're sitting 0-2. So absolutely, Flyers are getting the job done out in the field here and stuff. They know it's cold out there, man. They want to get back to the dugout and get swinging, get running around the bases.
Grant Mumm, the left field now with a slow windup from Poser, a right-hander that misses outside. 2 and to the hitter for Foley. Mumm, Alex Foss, the number 9 hitter, is due up. Foley batted 6 in the first inning. Strand bases loaded. They had 2 singles and then also an error. Now a diving stop by Jenks at third. Arm over to first, and the out is recorded. A 5-3 ground out, just a laser down the third base line. A.J. Jenks dove to his right, made the stop, athletically pops back to his feet, and he got a lot on that throw all the way across the diamond.
Boy, that was some kind of play right there. That's I think where the old wrestling background helped him. Boy, he got to the ground quick and scooped that baby up and threw a pea right over to Vetter at first.
Now, Poser is a fireballer himself. He can throw some fastballs, but that time A.J. Jenks might have thrown what might be the fastest ball we see all night. That throw might have beat the runner by about 2 or 3 steps up the third baseline or first baseline. It got there in plenty of time, and Alex Foss will now bat with 2 outs here in the top of the second inning. But Little Falls trying to turn in a 1-2-3 defensive inning. Don't want to see what happened in the first inning potentially happen again. Some of the outfielders start coming towards the dugout. They thought that last one might have been taken. Strike 3, but it was called a ball, so 1-2 the count. Derek Poser still looking for his first strikeout. This time a swinger, a slow roller back to the mound. Poser throw over to first. He bobbled it momentarily, but enough time to stick with it, pick it up, panic, make the throw over to first.
Yeah, great players there. By 2 amazing plays by A.J. Jenks that's going to help any team, I guess, especially when you see plays like that.
Yeah, and even the third player that time, Poser going across his body, making the play with the backhand. He kind of knocked it down. A lot of the times players might, they might panic a little bit, and then you bobble it when you try and pick it back up. But after the first one went off his glove, he did everything right from then on, picked it up, made the clean throw over to first. The Vetter helping him out with the stretch, making sure that you get that half step extra on the runner, and it made the difference. 1-2-3 clean defensive inning that time for the Flyers, and not many pitches Poser that half inning either.
Absolutely, and that's another great plus for the Flyers as well too.
So coming to of the second inning, 7 innings in high school baseball and softball. In the bottom half of the second inning, Little Falls will lead things off with Mitch Boros. Then Derek Poser and Dylan Lucas Savage are due up this inning. That is the 5, 6, 7 spot in their order. Brett Chakowski and Adam Josephson would follow them back to the top of the order. So far, Austin Wise with an infield bunt single, the only hit thus far for the Flyers, but he did get all the way over to third base with a stolen base and advancing, but Little unable to score that run last inning. So heading to the second inning, Thorsten, he had to work a little bit, especially considering he only faced a 4 left-hander, working the second half of the Little Falls order. Little Falls most recently suffered a 3-0 home defeat to Sartell, but before that, 14-5 winners against St. Cloud Cathedral and a 7-2 win opening the season with Malacca. Now a foul ball down off the ground, off home plate, and then to the backstop. 0-1 the count to the leadoff hitter for the Flyers, Mitch Boros, the designated hitter. So talk now about, Doug, what your take is when you're the DH. Is it a different game because you're not actively involved defensively out there? Is it tougher to stay focused and be ready, or is it easier because you're always focused on that next at-bat?
Well, I think it can be a challenge either way. So I think most of the time in your hand, so you're always kind of trying to stay loose, so that is your job to just kind of hit, and that's gonna be your focus. However, when you get into a long inning, or sometimes, or maybe your team is out in the field for a long time and stuff, you can lose focus because, like anybody, you're only up there to bat. So these guys, the fielders who are out in the field, they get to run around and run in and out and kind of always chattering and talking. So sometimes it can definitely be a challenge to stay loose as a batter.
And the count now 2-2 at Boros, who takes a couple of practice cuts, stares at it momentarily, and back in the batter's box awaiting this big pitch. Took a swing and a miss that time. Strike three at a looked like a hitter that was diving down and in. Boros tried to choke up on the bat. It appeared just a little bit more of a protective swing, but just couldn't get a piece of it. It was a very defensive swing that time on a 2-2 pitch, but was fooled by the pitcher Thorsten, and he's retired for the game's first strikeout on either side. Boros goes down swinging.
Yeah, it looked like he was just trying to make contact to stay alive, as you said, a very defensive swing, and unfortunately, you have to be all in or let it go, or you see the result that happened.
And Derek Poser is now the next hitter for Little Falls, and he had that last one bounce low and away. Thorsten has had a little control issues here this half inning, but this time he fires in a fastball for a strike. 1-1 the count. Couple of pitches in the Boros at bat bounced in the dirt or went really high, but he was able to eventually battle back and get the Flyer hitter. And now this one missed low, it appeared. 2 balls, 1 strike to the hitter Derek Poser, for Little Falls. Dylan Lukasavage is on deck.
And it looks, what we mentioned in the first inning, is that looks like the Flyers aren't just kind of up there hacking at anything that comes their way. They're being very patient, and we're seeing that they're working the counts deep here on the pitcher, trying to get some extra pitches out of them. And as you had mentioned earlier in last game when we were on, that there is a new rule this year for a pitch count limit for high school baseball players.
Yeah, and it's 105 pitches is the most you can make in a regular season game. Grounder to third, but the throw goes high. However, making the defensive play, the first baseman that time, Noah Novak, leaped in the air, got it in the webbing, and came down on first base, just beating Poser up the line. Is going to be a 5-3 ground out. It looks routine in the scorebook, but that was very close to being an error. Foley, in this case, they could be a very sound team like Little Falls. And when we're watching these camera crews, a big shout out to Bradley Youngblood and Owen Kircher running our cameras for tonight. If we're watching the game, it's fun to see the other players not just focusing on the ball, but the players that are going back there. You'll see this for both Foley and Little Falls, but backing up the play in case there's an error. You're not going to see a 2 or 3 because there's your outfielder standing right behind. Everybody's active, even when the play is not hit towards you.
Absolutely. Everybody has a job to do, even on the routine grounder. Everybody should be moving on a position like that. And as you mentioned, that's the little things that you don't necessarily see when you're watching a game on TV, but they're so important, especially if something goes wrong.
Dylan Lukasavage, right-handed batter up, facing this left-hander Thorsten for Foley, who's working from the full lineup. And that one came inside and hit him. He tried to get out of the way there, spun to the back, and it was a breaking ball. Didn't look like, I'm sure it always hurts a little bit, but it wasn't one that was a fireball right at the hip or a bone. That one seemed to be taken well. He was running up the first baseline, but Lukasavage is hit by the pitch, and Little Falls will have a runner aboard with 2 outs here in the bottom of the second.
Yeah, easy for us to say, it probably didn't hurt him that much. It was just a ball, but
it didn't hurt. It still probably hurt, though. They never feel good, but when you're running up the first baseline, it does probably feel pretty good for Dylan, who is at first base right now. And this next pitch taken for a strike to Brett Chakowski. Again, Little Falls, that's been one of the developing stories here in this contest. Being patient, working the count, facing the ace for Foley, or arguably their ace from returning innings last year. Little Falls deep into the game, And if they can get Thorsten out of the game, probably like their odds against some of the other pitchers a little better.
Absolutely.
Pitch taken for a strike, and the count now is no balls, 2 strikes to Brett Chakowski, the number 8 hitter, the catcher for the Flyers, with Adam Josephson, the right fielder, on deck. Runner at first base, 2 outs, should get a good jump, and it's a slow roller off the end of the bat, stays in fair territory. Catcher in a 2-3 put out, and Chakowski is retired. So Little Falls, they had 0 hits, 0 runs. After one batter was hit by a pitch, they had a runner left on base, and we played 2 full innings. The score is no score. Little Falls and Foley knotted at nothing heading to the top of the third. Saw the scores for the box scores for the first couple of games. Little Falls jumping out 7 runs in their season opener, then 14 in the second game of the year. But now after a tough defensive game against Sartell, where they were hitting the ball well, but just not finding the gaps. Now off to a low start here, both teams, 2-0-0 heading to the top of the third inning. Does that creep into the heads at all, or how can you battle that as a hitter at the plate? Because it's easier to hit when things are going well for you. Trying to keep that positive mentality of we're doing everything right, just give it time, stick with the process, and things will work out.
Absolutely, and I think that's always going to be the kind of the focus for the Flyers. And again, kind of controlling the things that you can control right now. And again, I hate to beat a dead horse, but degrees, it's a 15-mile-an-hour wind. It's not a fun time to play baseball right now. It's cold, and I think many guys will tell you, they won't probably openly admit it, but having trouble staying warm. And it's always a lot more fun to hit when it's 65 or 70 degrees, because when you take that one off your fist, it doesn't hurt as bad as when it's 48 degrees and you feel like your hands just got electrocuted. So,
and with the Flyer coaching staff, Chad Catt on all home, Brad Check helping out with the Little Falls coaching staff. Their focus for the last several years has not been on batting averages, but quality at-bats. If you hit the ball well, you deserve more credit than if you just have it go off the end of the bat and all of a sudden it sees a hole. If you hit the ball really well and get robbed of a base hit, then kudos to the defensive player. But that's what Little Falls has been focusing on. And I think as long as they focus on that process, that should avoid those long slumps during the course of the season. And I don't think this minor little snag is going to continue. A grounder to deep first is not going to be in time. Little Falls defensively doing everything they could that time. Jake Capan at short made the play across, but it's an infield for Drew Bayer, the leadoff hitter, who is aboard here in the top of the third inning. That time it was just a deep grounder to shortstop, and Capan made the throw over to Vetter, but by that time the speed of Bayer was up at first base. And now the most dangerous hitter for Foley in their lineup is at the plate, Noah Winkleman, with on first and nobody out here in the top of the third. A pickoff move from Poser over to first, throw 9, just keeping the runner a little closer. Situation, I don't know that they would want Bayer to run here, because they probably don't want to take the bat out of maybe their most dangerous hitter, Winkleman, which if there was no runner at first base might actually happen in a situation like this, albeit you don't want to walk a player. As I say that, pitch misses down and away, 1-0 count to Winkleman, a right fielder. He flew out to left field his last time, a ball that was hit pretty well into left field, but Lucas Savage eventually kind of followed the play and made it. He started back and then had to run back a little more, but the ball hung up with the wind, and that allowed Lucas Savage to make the catch in left field back in the first inning. Another pickoff move over to first, and for Winkleman, a left-handed batter facing the right-hander, and this one struck well to center field. Weiss is giving chase, can't make it, but he plays it on one hop and makes the throw back towards the infield. Runners are going to hold at second and third. Is aboard with a double.
So, and you can see there, Corey, why they were treating Winkleman softly and trying to pitch around, not necessarily pitch around him, but pitch very carefully to him. That was a frozen rope right out to center against the wind, and great hit. And obviously, as you've spoken, Winkleman's a good player, good hitter.
And now batting for Foley is Tanner Brosh. There's nobody out here in the top of the third. Foley had a situation where they had the bases loaded against Piers and nobody out and failed to score. and then ended up losing a 2-1 game. That was one of their 2 losses during the course of the year. So they've been in situations like this and score before. We'll see how Little Falls is able to play this. Last pitch missed it down and in. Tchaikovsky did a good job once again to smother it, make sure the runners can advance, score an easy run that way. But Tanner Brosh at the plate, 1-1 the count. He singled his last time up and was stranded at third base. This one is hit towards left field, fielded on a hop. 1 run comes in to score. Little Falls plays it back into the infield. Poser fields it in between third and home. Or that was A.J. Jinks that fielded it in the in-between land, holding the runners at the corners, but still nobody out, and the game's first run is in. And it's Drew Byer who hit that infield single to lead off the inning, and now runners on the corners, still nobody out.
Yep, Flyers in trouble here, so they need a nice ground ball here, see if they can turn 2 and help themselves get out.
Breaking ball taken. Ball 1, it appeared, might have missed inside. 1-0 the count. Von Wold, who reached on the error his first time up on a slow roller back to first base. This one swung and fouled over the Foley bench. 1-1 the count. So Little Falls and Foley on Charter Access 181, the Cube, and the YouTube channel. We're going to have some softball next Monday, Little Falls and Albany. Looking forward to that contest. And also the high school prom, just a little over a week away. Tchaikovsky, strong throw to third. Tag applied by Jenks, but a head-first slide, and Winkleman got back in time. That was a really nice throw that time on a rope by Tchaikovsky, and he didn't have time to stand back up. That was from the knees.
Yep, he snapped it down there.
So now, focused on the hitter here with a 1-1 count to Ian Von Wold. And this one's hit well to right field, going to drop for another single, another RBI single. And runners will stop at first and second. Winkleman comes in to score. And what was a 0-0 game has now turned into a 2-0 lead as 4 straight hits to lead off the third inning. And Little Falls in a little trouble here, down 2-0, still in the top of the third inning, so they'll have an opportunity to answer back. But Foley batting 4 hitters here and still nobody out, runners at first and second.
Yeah, Flyers are I mean, there's been no doubters. Every one of those hits has been a no doubter, not a bleeder or whatever. Just you gotta put your hats off to Foley. They're hitting pretty well right now. Flyers could really use a strikeout or a ground ball double play here to help them get out of this inning.
There's going to be a fly ball, hangs up in the air, and Weiss comes in, makes a grab, and then gets it back into the infield. Drew Murphy is retired on the fly out to center. It's not the same as a strikeout, but effectively the same result as runners stay at first and second, and you get the 1 out. And now Mark Durkis, who flew out to center himself the first time up, will bat with runners at first and second and a 2-0 Foley lead. We're having to work from the stretch the majority of this inning. Delivers a strike home, a fastball, outer portion of the plate. 0-1 out now to Durkis. Noah Novak on deck. Now 1 down, top of the third. Foley already 2 runs in this inning. Runners at first and second. Little Falls defensively shifted the shortstop Capan over to second momentarily, faking a throw there, but delivering home. Then Poser missed outside. 1-1 the count to Durkis. Still an opportunity here. Little Falls playing standard defense, not really playing that double play depth up the middle, but they've got the ability to turn 2 if it's hit right at somebody.
Absolutely, and it looks like the infielders, center and left, are playing a little bit more shallow, and right field looks like they're playing a little deeper. And again, part of it is that wind is going to blow everything towards the right field line here, so just want to be ready for it.
A frame behind home plate, and Tchaikovsky did get it, though, missing that time. And now a 3-1 count as I have it to Mark Durkis with Noah Novak on deck. Runners at first and second, 1 down. Here comes the pitch, and it's fouled back and out of play. So now a payoff pitch upcoming, 3-2 the count. There's only one out, though. So with only one out, if you're a coach of Foley, do you send the runners or do you keep them stationary?
Boy, I'd probably keep them stationary. It's still early in the game, and I don't want to run myself right out of this inning.
All right, so a 3-2 count with one down. Runners at first and second. Poser, a right-hander, throws home, and it is a grounder foul down the third baseline. And almost tough break for Little Falls, too, because Jenks fielded that pretty, but it wasn't foul territory. If it would have been a few steps over, though, fields that in fair territory. He steps on third, and with Jenks' arm, he's going to throw the runner out at first. That's going to be that inning-ending double play. Here comes a payoff pitch, 3-2 count, and taken down and in, ball four. Again, Chakowski tried framing the pitch, but missed. First walk issued by either pitcher today, and that will load the bases with still one out here in the top of the third inning. So Foley's had a couple of opportunities here. They failed to score in the first inning. Bases loaded. Now they've struck twice already, and with one down here, Noah Novak, who flew out to Jenks in foul territory to lead off the second inning, is batting here. The Flyers need a defensive play to try and get this inning. Breaking ball taken for a strike, and Poser immediately focusing on the next hitter, and that's what you got to do as the pitcher. He's thrown a lot of strikes. He hasn't been giving up the free issue passes, making Foley earn it, but they have thus far this inning. A grounder through the hole between first and second, and then kicked momentarily in the outfield. A strong throw home, cutting off the runner, and now Little Falls had a player in the rundown. Jenks to third base, and a tag is made. Now Little Falls almost had another player in the rundown, but running back. This one's going to be kind of tricky to score.
Let's see. I think if you're scoring that one, Corey, I think it's going to go 9-3, 5 in the putout.
5 in the putout. So they got the one out there that time, Little Falls did. However, a couple runs come in to score, and it is now 4-0 in favor of Foley. Durkis was forced out. Novak ends up on first base with a single, a nice single. Two runs come in, and it is 4-0, Foley in front. Taken at the knees, 0-1 the count. Grant Mumm is the 8th hitter to bat this inning for Foley. It's been a big inning for the Falcons, who are now up 4-0 in front of Little Falls here in Little Falls. Plenty of game left, though. A foul ball over the first base line, the dugout. And the count now, 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 down. Grant Mumm at the plate. Couple quality pitches away from getting out of this inning, and it's been a long defensive inning for the Flyers.
Yep, absolutely, Corey. And these are the ones that we talked about, that you, as a team, you don't like to be out in the field for this long, especially when it's a little cooler out, and again, talking about as your DH and everybody else kind of out there kind of keeping warm and trying to keep moving, and this is where they really need to bear down and get out of this inning.
And here's a fly ball hit towards right field, should be playable, and making the grab underneath it, Adam Josephson makes the catch, and Mumm is retired for the final out in the third. However, Foley does strike with several hits, including 4 straight hits to lead off the inning. They got a walk and then a fielder's choice single that turned into 4 runs for Foley. They stranded 1 runner aboard, and after 2.5 innings of play, Foley is up 4-0. But here's an opportunity for Little Falls to now refocus. You don't have to get all 4 runs back in an inning, but baseball can be a game of momentum, and Chad Kaditz and his coaching staff have preached in the last couple of years that just answer back, get some momentum going back your way. You know, if they get 1 or 2 runs this inning, that could be successful. Start chipping away at it. You just can't let this half inning go, and then they come up to bat with a chance to extend that lead any farther. That's how blowouts and games start to get out of hand. Keep it within striking distance. 4 runs, that's tough to score on a cold day like this, but you just got to get 1 first and then see if you can chip away at it.
Absolutely. You can't get to 4 unless you start with 1. And again, as you mentioned, you just want to kind of come back, get some type of answer here. Little Falls has not been through the lineup yet here. We'll be able to turn it over. It'll be a second chance to see the pitcher here. And, hopefully they learned a little bit from their first at bat and are able to take advantage of it and get the ball rolling here.
Yeah, and for the first at bat, the first time through, Little Falls had 2 hitters reach out of their first 8 in the game. Austin Wise led off with an infield single. He's going to be batting second this inning. Adam Josephson, the starting right fielder, made the inning-ending catch. The last half inning, he's going to start at the plate. Takes a breaking ball for a strike from the left-hander Jake Thorsten, who's thrown a majority of breaking balls from the rubber today. An 0-1 pitch. And this one outside, 1-1. Doug?
Sorry, Corey. If you're Foley here too, what I want to say is you just put up a 4. You want to come out and throw strikes. You want the best thing you could do is throw strikes, get 3 outs, and get right back in the inning again, and so you can bat around and kind of, again, as you mentioned, the momentum. That's another big momentum thing, and try to crush the Flyer spirit here.
And here comes these quality at-bats, working the counts. Josephson has not taken many swings thus far at bat, but here he does. It's a grounder, backhanded by the shortstop. Throw to first, not in time. An infield single. Adam Josephson is aboard for the Flyers on what was a very similar play to what led off last inning for Foley, where Byer, their shortstop, reached on a hit to deep short. This time, Adam Josephson about the same spot, backhanded, throwing across the body weight, and Byer not able to get enough on the throw to beat Josephson. Pretty solid speed up the first baseline, and he needed every bit of it. Tie goes to
a great start for the Flyers. Again, coming, seeing who's going to answer.
And now you've got Austin Wise, who's got the other hit for Little Falls thus far this evening. At the plate, took the first pitch down and in, ball 1. Here comes a 1-0 pitch to Wise, and he took a mean cut at that one, but it just swung underneath it appeared, or maybe even over the top. But Wise, who signed his letter of intent this past week, will be attending Bemidji State University next year after he completes his senior year at Little Falls High School. Parent-teacher conferences for Little Falls coming up next Monday, and Wise that time swung over the top and a 1-2 count.
Boy, Austin's not getting cheated on his swings here. He's definitely swinging hard here, so I wonder if hopefully he's not swinging too hard. Now he's got to be in control with 2 strikes.
So a 1-2 count, and this time, well, I thought he got a piece of it, but it was strike 3 held on by the catcher. So Wise is retired, 4 pitches that time, and he swings and misses at strike 3. Holm will bat next for the Flyers, who still have their runner aboard. Runner on. That's one of the things Little Falls offensively wants to do. Inning, maybe about 5-7 times throughout the course of the game. Obviously, every inning would be great, but if you can get the leadoff runner on 4 or 5 times throughout the course of the game, usually about 60% of the time that runner is going to score, and that's what Little Falls is hoping occurs here, as they did get their leadoff runner Josephson aboard with an infield single.
Well, again, Flyers looking to be patient here, kind of work the counts. It's going to be key here if Alholm can kind of keep our inning going here, get Josephson advanced, and get us into the heart of our lineup here.
And he's watched a couple of close pitches, including that last one, miss outside. 3-0 the count, and the catcher for Foley, Ian Von Wald, comes out to talk to Houston, who's missed a couple of pitches and in danger of walking Alholm with Capan due up. Eventually this lineup probably going to snap out of it and start putting some balls into the outfield in play. This time, a 3-0 pitch taken all the way. Smart play, Joe Alholm. Now a 3-1 count. He's probably not going to swing too much or expand the strike zone too much here on a 3-1 count, but you would give him the green light if he gets a perfect pitch. That time it was a good pitch right in the wheelhouse. Alholm swung at it but missed, and now the count 3 balls, 2 strikes with still the runner at first base for the Flyers, Josephson.
And let's see if the Flyers put anything on if they send Josephson here.
Well, he took a couple steps and then a fly ball, shallow right field. And the catch was made. I didn't see the
second baseman.
I didn't see who made the grab. I lost the baseball there for a second, but thanks, Doug. The grab was made that time by the second baseman, Alex Foss, and Alholm is retired on a fly out to the second baseman. Flyers, Jake Capan will bat. Runner aboard, still at first base. And Capan watches a pitch taken high, ball one. But again, at the plate, and it's just sticking with the process. The Flyer hitter's doing a lot of things right, and if you're in a slump, that's the best way. Let the game come to you. Don't force it. Now a chopper towards the third baseline, and it is foul. So Josephson, who's all the way to second base by the time he sees that and ends up turning back, will trot back to first. Capan, who grounded out to third his first time up, will have another opportunity for Little Falls.
You know, and unlike the game last Thursday, Corey, against Sartell, we haven't seen a whole lot of real hard-hit balls here by the Flyers as opposed to last game.
Yeah, Thorsten probably a big reason for that. The ace for Foley on the mound. Swinging a foul tip.
Yeah, he's doing a nice job keeping the Flyers off balance. I mean, any of the hits they've had so far, the bunt by Wise, kind of the C&I through deep short there. So he's doing a good job keeping them off balance.
And this left-hander for Foley now working from the stretch. Little different delivery and missed a low and away that time. The majority of the pitches from Thorsten have been in the strike zone, but occasionally he has missed by about a foot here or there. And that last time missed way outside the plate. Again, the catcher for Foley. It's tricky to catch a left-hander with such breaking stuff. Ian Von Wald that time called for a breaking ball that dove underneath the hitter's swing, and Capan swings over the top of strike three. So after an infield single by Adam Josephson to lead off the third inning, then two of the next three hitters struck out, and Allholm flew out to shallow right field. And the Flyers with a one infield single, but strand the runner at first base, unable to do anything more in the score as we go to the top of the fourth. Foley 4, Little Falls nothing.
Yeah, and that's unfortunately, it looks like a pattern that's starting to develop here, Corey, is the Flyers get the first guy on, and they just can't seem to get him around and kind of build on the momentum here. So in this game, they're gonna have to start getting after it.
You know, and last game we saw with Sartell, the first one we had the opportunity to view on Flyer Media Productions, it was a case of everybody in the lineup contributing like we perhaps expect for the Flyers. Unfortunately, contributing at different times through the order. You know, the first time maybe would get aboard, and then the next time it's a different hitter, but unable to string together any of those hits, which Sartell did last week to lead to their runs, and Foley had 4 straight hits to lead off the top of the third inning that led to their 4 runs. So now Little Falls defensively comes out here in the top half of the fourth, unable to answer back in the offensive side of the bottom half of the third, but defensively now they are in need here after being on the field for a long time last half inning.
Absolutely. That would be the best medicine here to get them up 1, 2, 3. Let's get out of here and get back and get at the bats.
Yeah, so the confidence at Little Falls just sticking with it. Here coming out in the top of the inning, Alex Foss, who grounded out to the pitcher his first time up. Poser, who's worked the entire way thus far. Swing and a miss. Count even at a ball and a strike to Alex Foss, the second baseman for Foley. Right-hander Poser fires, and this one a high fly ball, shallow right field. 3 players converge, and calling for it at the last moment there, Joe Allholm made the grab. And a tough being battled with the wind. The wind looked like it was pushing it back in and away from the second baseman, Allholm, towards Vetter at first base. We could see Justin charging in from right field, too. But eventually Allholm makes the call and calls off the runner. And that's what you need, the players to back each other up. But also somebody's got to make that call. There's a lot of times when it's hit between people. If nobody takes charge, that falls down for a hit.
Absolutely, and that's where communication is the key. So nice job for the Flyers. They're doing the communicating to make sure they get that out.
This last pitch taken high and away after a foul ball on the count even. 1 ball, 1 strike to Drew Byer, who is round out to third base, but then also an infield single to deep short. Swings and fouls one over the Falcon dugout. And the count now 1 ball, 2 strikes. Little Falls is 2-1 on the season. They are 2-0 in the Granite Ridge Conference. Foley is 3-2 on the season. They are 2-1 in the Granite Ridge Conference. And a fly ball toward territory in left field. A couple of players give chase. Lucas Savage was in left field. Jenks was at third base. Both went for it. Unable to make a play, though, falling in no man's land. And a two-strike pitch upcoming. Shortstop with a dangerous Noah Winkleman. He hit a double off the right in front of center field. His last time up. Little Falls would love to see him without anybody on base. This time, blocked at plate. Brett Jakowski fielded that one well to his left. Just gave kind of an ole and was able to dig that out of the dirt about 6 inches off the ground after it bounced up. Now a grounder towards second base. Fielded cleanly by Allholm. The throw to first not in time. Vetter stretched, and Little Falls did everything well that time, but Byer some speed up the first base in with a single. And now there is a runner aboard here with Winkleman at the plate in the top of the fourth. 4-0 Foley already.
Yeah, that was a slow roller, just kind of, it was hit, but not hit very well. Play for Allholm as it went right over the mound, and as you said, Byer had the wheels to beat that one out.
So now Winkleman will hit, and just seeing everybody playing pretty deep in the outfield, and this is a slow roller to second, bobbled barely. They get the out at second, throw over to first, not in time. Allholm flipped it to Capan, covering second, and that time Winkleman is aboard with a six fielder's choice. Not a double play ball, but Byer is forced out at second. Allholm smothered it and then flipped it backhanded over to Capan at second, who tried the relay throw to first, but Winkleman way too much speed to double up unless you play that perfectly, and on a slow, not going to be able to do that. Here this time, hit to left field, a single sharply. Bat of Tanner Brosh, who is 3 for 3 today for Foley. Another single. And now runners at first and second, 2 outs here in the top of the fourth.
And again, this is where the Flyers need to get out of this inning right now. He's kind of scrapped together another inning here. They've had a lot of base runners this game so far. Flyers need to bear down here and get this third out so they can get back and start.
Foley, a member of Section 6AA. Little Falls a few years ago was in that class, and they extended baseball to have 4 classes. So now Little Falls a 3A team in Section 8 3A with Albany, Thief River Falls, Bemidji, Sargent, we saw last week, and a few other squads. Both teams in pretty good sections. Little Falls, the first year in Section 8 3A, ended up winning their section tournament and going to the state tournament. They'll try and repeat that feat once we get to playoff baseball. Right now in the regular season, Little Falls, the Bats hitting a little bit of a slump in the last game and a half, and it came out of nowhere. They quickly 7 runs against Malacca and then 14 runs against Cathedral. But defensively here, Derek Poser on the mound, missing this time. 2 balls, 2 strikes to the number 4 hitter, Ian Von Wald, who has also reached twice. He had a single and scored his last time up, the 4th of 4 straight hits, and reached on an error back in the first inning. This pitch taken low. Good job by Chakowski in front of him. Runners have to stay at first and second. And a full count. Poser having to work from the stretch. So Derek Poser delivers home, and it's a ground right at the first baseman. Vetter fielded it on 2 hops, walks over to first, unassisted play, and Wald is retired on the ground out to first, and that will end the half inning for Foley. So we're through 3.5 and could be midway point, barring extra innings. Foley on top 4-0, and Little Falls coming to bat. They're going to have the heart of the order due up, A.J. Jenks and Derek Poser. And we started this game talking a little bit about the patience at the plate, and that has to continue, because if Little Falls is going to snap out of this little slump here, and throughout a 20-game season and then hopefully more in the playoffs, you're going to have some up and downs. Don't let the highs get too high or the lows get too low. Press in baseball, sometimes the tougher the results come. So Little Falls just needs to stick with it, and the hits There's still 4 more innings left for them to bat, and they should have enough time to put up more than 4 runs in this ball game.
Absolutely, and all it takes is a couple guys to kind of get the ball rolling, and momentum picks up, and nobody wants to make that first out or that second out, so it's again, as you mentioned, it's a little bit, I guess, slump is hard to say because unfortunately it's the second game that we've been able to do here on the Cube on Flyer Media Production, and unfortunately we've kind of seen the same thing, so but hopefully we're not the result.
Well, yes, and we'll have enough games where they will have a different result than 0 runs, and we'll probably have a different result before the end of this one. But let's also give credit to the ace for Foley, too, because pitching matchups can make a big difference as to what hitters are able to do. That's why the patience at the plate for Little Falls could come into play later in the game. Sartell, we saw Little Falls have that late rally, and that was because they were able to get into the bullpen. Here against Foley, probably can hopefully expect the same thing. And even though he hasn't given up a bunch of hits, just 1 base runner each inning, he has had 5, 6, 7 pitch at bats to almost every single pitcher or hitter that's gone through the order.
And one thing to keep in mind, Corey, that we've addressed here is that, we've talked about the Flyers having a real deep team this year and stuff, and with these breaks and stuff, I think the Flyers have been seeing a lot of the other teams here, so that's another reason why they may not be hitting maybe as well as they have been.
And A.J. Jinks that time beat out normally would have been a routine play, and that was just a ground ball to short, and the throw. And A.J. Jinks beat that out for an infield single. No error on that play, but just speed and hustle up the first baseline. A lot of the hitters, if you hit it a slow roller to the shortstop, you're going to run maybe 80%. He was going 100% up the first baseline and is safe at first because of it. Now, a ground ball and a tailor-made double play ball, 6-4-3 off the bat of Mitch Boros, and Foley turned that up the gut. A 6-4-3 double play ball, and now all of a sudden there are 2 outs here as Jinks is forced out at second, and Boros, the throw, was just a half step in front of him.
Boy, that was a nice play by the Foley shortstop. That was probably the hardest ball we've seen hit all day by the Flyers, and unfortunately it was a one-hopper right to the shortstop who made a great play.
And now Thorst in a little trouble with the roller back to first, or back to the pitcher, and then the throw to first is bobbled and dropped, and that's going to allow Derek Poser to be aboard. Misplayed grounder, and probably going to charge the error on the pitcher that time, but could have also been an error on the first baseman. You only give 1 on the play, but the pitcher made the first mistake, and then the first baseman couldn't come up with a grab after what still probably should have been the inning-ending throw. Now Dylan Lukasavich will bat, and the Flyers have their second base runner of the inning, but once again just a runner on first with nobody out because of the double play ball on the previous at-bat. Thorsten having to work from the stretch and misses outside. Back to the patience at the plate, working the count. So Little Falls, there's a couple of ways you can get a quality at-bat. Obviously, if you get a hit, if you get a walk, also if you foul off enough 2-strike pitches, just make the pitcher work. And Little Falls, they have been patient at the plate here today, taking a pitch for a strike, not wanting to expand their strike zone too much. They haven't been rewarded yet, but throughout the course of the season, good things are going to happen if they can play this way. And usually when good things happen, they multiply, and you can start feeling a little better about yourself. And we'll look for it to happen in the near future for this Flyer baseball team. Swinging over the top of that one, Lukasavich. He was hit by a pitch in his first at-bat and stranded at first after Tchaikovsky grounded out right in front of home plate a ball that was fielded by the catcher. This one side, and Lukasavich had to brush away, was almost hit by a pitch again.
That'd be bad luck for him on a cold day like this.
Yeah, runner at first takes his lead with 2 down and 2-2 count. And swing and a miss, strike 3. The hit and run was on. Might have even been a 3-2 pitch. So, of course, Poser was off. But strike 3, and Lukasavich is retired. And Little Falls ends up getting 1 hit. There was 1 Foley error, a double play turned, and 1 runner left on base that half inning. We've played 4, and the score is Foley 4 and Little Falls nothing thus far on this April 18th game here on Flyer Media Productions. Again, Bradley Youngblood, Owen Kircher are our camera crew for this evening's contest. Dave Gertz heading up the Flyer Media Productions. My name Corey Fink, and along with Doug Dahlberg, always a pleasure to bring Flyer baseball in here today on the TV screen.
Yep, absolutely. It's a great opportunity, and for those of you who maybe this is your first time, it's been a fantastic program for the Flyers to bring this to not only just regular fans, but maybe some fans who might live out of town, or grandparents, or people who might not normally get a chance to see these Flyer baseball games.
And seeing the games, and we're early in the season. 4 years ago we had a snow 16 inches on this particular day. It's a cold day, but nothing like that, as there is a bit of a breeze, and by the end of this game we might be in the 40s, and already it was about only 50 degrees game time, and with a wind chill a little worse than that. Cloudy skies and Little Falls, see if they can get some sunshine in the attitude here before the end of this one. Down 4-0 as we start up the top of the 5th inning. Got to start the comeback somewhere. Defensively here, they'll try and shut down the Foley lineup. Drew Murphy, who flew out to center his last time up, is leading things off. And this one is hit in territory out of play over the fence line in the left field, and now it is 1-1 the count to Drew Murphy. Derek Poser is pitching, and barring a couple of those hits strung together by Foley, has pitched pretty well here today. Just one walk issued and a strike thrown there. And defensively, I know we've talked about this a bit in length here, but Little Falls, they're a good defensive team, and it's easy team when you have a pitcher throwing strikes because it keeps you more engaged.
Absolutely. You're waiting, by him throwing strikes that they're more than likely going to put the ball in play, and when you're playing defense, you have to be ready for that on any given pitch.
Yeah, so Little Falls defensively will run down the order here again in a moment, but right now a 2-strike pitch upcoming to Murphy, and this one taken for a ball. So the infield for Little Falls, Derek Poser has pitched thus far the complete game, and we're in the top of the 5th now. Catching is Brett Chakowski. Over at first base, Anthony Vetter. Second base, Joe Allholm. Shortstop, Jake Capan. And third base is A.J. Jenks. A chopper to Jenks at third. He double clutches, throws across the diamond. Out is recorded, 5-3 putout. And A.J. Jenks is having a fantastic game, especially defensively for Little Falls. Think back to the second inning play when he made a couple of, first a catch in foul territory, but then the dive across his body and a strong throw. And that another just clean play made by A.J. Jenks thus far. He's just vacuuming everything up that comes next to him.
Yeah, it's got to be frustrating if you're Foley and probably talking in the dugout. We don't have to hit it to him anymore because we know he can field.
The outfield for Little Falls, Dylan Lukasavage is in left, Austin Wise in center, and the right fielder Adam Josephson for the Flyers. That's the defensive lineup for Little Falls, with Poser missing outside. The last call was a strike, so 0-1 the count. Now 1-1. So Mark Durkis, the third baseman, who reached on a walk, the only walk issued at this game by Derek Poser. The Flyers had a hitter that was hit by a pitch, but no base on balls. And now a diving catch was made, I think. That should be an out. Oh, are they going to say he trapped
They said it hit the ground.
Oh, it looked good from here, but Adam Joseph mentioned. And our vantage point is towards center field, and we're just kind of looking right behind the body of Josephson, who made that grab, and from my vantage point, looked like he made the catch and was holding the glove up to the umpire saying, hey, I made the grab, but
it was a great effort.
Didn't get the call. Okay, so the runner is aboard at first base. Adam Josephson, I thought made the catch. Maybe he trapped it. Work in the future, we'll be able to add some instant replays on Flyer Media Production. Looking forward to that. Vetter underneath. Nope, it is the pitcher Poser that calls everybody off. Made that last grab, and that's the second out of the inning. Noah Novak, a fly out, and Grant Mumm will be the next to bat for Foley. So 2 down here, 5th inning. Runner at first. And now a throw to first, a swipe tag. Vetter, not in time. Running back staying on his feet, Durkis. Tchaikovsky, he got one of those outs last game against Sartell, and a couple of strong throws here this game. That could be a weapon for Little Falls progressing through the season. Even if a runner gets aboard, it seems like about once or twice a game he's going to have some close plays. Not a lot of teams are going to be able to throw on Little Falls with that strong arm behind home plate.
No, and you some down there, as you mentioned, he's not getting up on his feet. He's snapping those right from his knees. So real strong arm there, and that, you're right, that's going to catch a couple people off guard this season.
That last pitch just got away from Poser. It looked like Tchaikovsky was calling outside, and just the release point was off, and it rode up and in towards the head. Hitter got out of the way, and now steps back into the batter's box, and Poser attacking once again, and it's fouled off. And now a two-strike pitch with two down here in the top of the fifth inning. Runner at first base, Durkis, on a close play. Maybe it was trapped, but I go back. I do think that might have been caught for out what should have been out number 2 at the time, but by now would have been 3 outs for the inning. Ball boy coming in, flashing across and getting the ball back in. So Little Falls and Foley in a Granite Ridge Conference matchup, a conference between like Little Falls, Albany, St. Cloud Cathedral, Foley. This could be a wide open race by the end of the year. A lot of great teams on the top half of that conference. Breaking ball taken, and Tchaikovsky and the Flyers wanted the call but did not get it. And now a payoff pitch upcoming. 3-2 the count with 2 down. Runner should be able to go early for Foley. There, chopper deep short, fielded by Capan. The throw to first on one hop, and now the play across the diamond to third, and the out is recorded. So A.J. Jenks made the tag. That time it is a 6-3-5 putout. Mumm is aboard with a single. Trying to advance to third base on the play. Durkis is retired on the 6-3-5 putout. So Little Falls gets out of the half inning that time. A vet job keeping that first throw from Capan in front of him. It bounced about 2 or 3 feet in front, came up to the chest, and he knocked it down, picked it up, and made a heads-up. The run from second to third might have had a little bit of help with communication. We're a little too far into the outfield to tell for sure, but I'm sure there were teammates saying, hey, throw to third, and Jenks was there, made the tag, quick tag, and Little Falls got the final out of the inning.
Yeah, and it looked like Little Falls might have caught a break on that one too, as the Foley coach, and kind of from our vantage point too, it looked like he might have slid under that tag by Jenks, and the Foley coaches sure thought so, but umpire didn't see it that way, and we thought Josephson caught that ball in right field, and the umpire didn't see it that way. So I guess tit for tat, huh?
Oh, well, here we go. We're heading to the bottom of the fifth inning, and Little Falls now near the 8-9-1 spot in the order. So this will be our third time each of these hitters will see the pitcher. We've got hitters Brett Tchaikovsky, who grounded out off the home plate, and the catcher fielded it, threw it to first base the first time up. Then Adam Josephson, who reached on an infield single. He's 1 for 1 on deck. Austin Wise, 1 for 2, had an infield single, just a kind of bunt single up the first baseline, and then struck out swinging his last time up. So Little Falls will need some of these hitters to get aboard and just string together the hits. That's how Foley scored their 4 runs in the third inning. Little Falls will try to string together some hits here in the fifth inning, down to 3 innings to try and strike a couple of these runs back, down by 4 this half inning.
And as you mentioned, Corey, they don't need to get 4 in 1 inning. They just need to draw blood here. You can't get to 4 unless you get to 1 and 2 and 3 before. So
first pitch taken outside, then a grounder. Shortstop fields it. Byer across his body to first. The out in time, and Tchaikovsky is retired on a pitch, a grounder to short, and Adam Josephson will bat next for Little Falls. So the right fielder for Little Falls, 1 for 1 today, and a right-handed batter facing the left-hander, Jake Thorsten. Last year had a 2.5 ERA. He was 5-1 on the season, 0-1 this year, but it was a solid pitching performance against Piers. Might have had another win in there in the other games, But I know a coworker of mine called that particular Piers Foley game where it could have easily gone both ways, and those two teams are in the same section. So Foley, St. Cloud Cathedral, Piers, Osakis, a lot of great teams, great baseball for those teams. Little Falls used to be in that stacked section. Now they're in the 8-3A section with teams like Albany. And line drive into left field, hit on a rope, just solid. And Adam Josephson is 2 for 2 today with another single once again aboard. So he's having a good day, and that's setting up the opportunities for the top of the order. Little Falls was unable to do anything the last time in the third inning, but here they have another chance with a one down, bottom of the fifth inning. Austin Wise at the plate, Joe Allholm on deck, then Jake Capan and A.J. Jinks, Mitch Boros. This could be a good inning.
And Wise grounded out to second there. He was able to advance Josephson, but Wise is out on the 4-3. The grounder to right-hand side to advance.
So that will turn out to be the second out of the fifth inning. A good news for Little Falls, they're able to advance the runner into scoring position. Now a single to the outfield could possibly score a run, and Joe Allholm at the plate, and the outfield playing in a little bit on this cold, windy day. In a little bit, center field, and this pitch taken outside. 2-0 the count. So 2-0 the count. First base is open. Jake Capan, the number 3 hitter, on deck. Little Falls, you'd be all right with taking a walk here, getting another base runner aboard here. But Foley that time pitching up and in. Thorsten missed high and tight. Now the count. Allholm, if he gets a single to the outfield, might be able to score the run. Joseph second. But if he gets aboard, that would be just one more base runner, another opportunity, and he draws a walk. So the first walk, the base on balls issued today by Thorsten. He did have Lucas hit by a pitch in the second inning, but this is the second free pass. We haven't seen many issued by either pitcher here today.
No, and 4 straight, that was really out of character for him.
So now a little conference at the mound. I didn't see too much action in any Foley bullpen, so I don't think Thorsten's night is going to be done quite yet. But Jake Capan will bat for the Flyers, the number 3 hitter. Runners at first and second. And just joining us, Foley. They stranded the bases loaded in the first inning and then went down quietly 1-2-3 in the second. But in the third inning, led off with 4 straight hits. There was also a walk and a fielder's choice. Eventually 4 runs came in to score that inning. And the rest of the game been kind of quiet for the Foley bats. Little Falls had a couple runners in scoring position, but here with 2 outs in the fifth, 2 runners aboard, and this one gets behind the hitter, and now 2 runners will be in scoring position. So after a 4-pitch walk, Josephson advances to third and Allholm to second. Joe, side note, he's got great speed. I saw him as a basketball guard for the winter sports season. Excellent speed at second base. 2 outs, and Jake Capan at the plate first is open, a 1-0 count. Thorsten having control issues. Here he delivers a strike home, 1-1 the count. But any single here and this nothing lead could be switched to 4-2 in a heartbeat. This is a big moment Little Falls needs to capitalize on. A high fly ball to deep in the outfield, giving chase. The left and center fielder converging, and it's the center fielder who makes the grab in deep center field. 15 feet. Jake Capan hit that one high and deep, but a fly out to center field, and he was probably about 10 feet shy of a home run. But a high and deep ride to one of the deepest parts of Flyer Field, and it goes down as a fly out to center. And Little Falls, after a couple of walks, they strand 2 runners aboard, both in scoring position, failed to score. We head to the 6th, 4-0. Foley still in front.
Yeah, that was a nice ride. Good opportunity for the Flyers there. I think maybe on a different day that ball's out of the park here, but you know, you take the good with the bad, and again, Thorsten looks like, you know, if there is a silver lining out of this, Corey, it looks like, as we talked about earlier, the Flyers were going to be patient at the plate. They were going to take a lot of pitches, get him working deep in the count, and it looked like it paid off a little bit there as he started to get some control problems, maybe getting some fatigue in the arm. Now I think the be to see if he comes back out for the 6th inning.
The 6th and or the 7th inning. So Little Falls perhaps working into the Foley bullpen. I am seeing a little bit of movement in the dugout. I don't know if Foley's going to start to warm up a different pitch. Thorsten is probably the guy with come playoff time, but this early in the season, maybe you can get one more inning out of him. I don't know that they're going to ask him to pitch 7 full innings. It does look for that this is still Poser warm. This might be Jenks. A.J. Jenks, number 1 for Little Falls. So Jenks is now going to be pitching for Little Falls. And earlier in the year, he had an appearance against St. Cloud Cathedral, and things didn't go well for him early on. He had an injury towards the tail end of the wrestling season when he did go to the state tournament as an individual wrestler for Little Falls, but he's back out there throwing. St. Cloud Cathedral hit him well early on, and then Poser came in relief and ended up picking up the victory. Now perhaps an opportunity to flip the script. Poser came out, pitched decent. It was just a few hits strung together there in the 3rd inning leading off the inning, and 4 runs were put up by Foley. But now A.J. Jenks an opportunity to come in relief, maybe pitch the 6th and 7th, and if the Flyer bats get going here in the bottom half of the inning, he's in an opportunity where he could pick up a win out of the bullpen.
It'd be a great story. It'd become full circle here.
So A.J. Jenks, who is also a right-hander, just like Poser is, delivers a fastball home for a strike. Poser's got good stuff. Jenks right along with it. There's a lot of really good, strong arms. And for Little Falls, we don't talk as much about the pitch count because opportunities so many. Jenks again, fastball taken for a strike, 0-2 the count, quickly ahead of the hitter. Here's one thing I know about Jenks from years past. He likes to work quickly on the mound, and that's another thing that might help a defense behind him, because not only is he throwing strikes, he's not wasting a lot of time in between 1-2 the count as a fastball misses low. But this is the first time facing the Foley hitters, Alex Foss, as we just had a new pitcher into the game for Little Falls. Poser went 5 innings, gave up the 4 runs, all of them in the 3rd inning. Now misses low, 2-2 the count. A.J. Jenks, a good game thus far. He plays at 3rd base, and now we'll see what he can do for Little Falls. Pitch 2 count, facing the number 9 hitter, Foss. Misses low, ball 3. So he was ahead of the hitter, 0-2, and now all of a sudden the number 9 hitter, Alex Foss, 3-2, has another life with the top of the order batting next for Foley.
Yeah, you don't want to lose him here. You definitely want to get your number 9 hitter, and it looks like he's seen 5 straight fastballs, and the last 3 have been in the dirt. AJ trying to overthrow a little bit here as he's trying to get the number 9 hitter. Unfortunately, earns ball 4, and it's a trot down to first.
A base on balls, and Jenks surrenders the walk right there, and that means batting next for for Foley is Drew Byer here in the top of the 6th inning. You're enjoying Flyer baseball today on Flyer Media Production, and we want to welcome you as the viewer, whether you're watching on Charter Access 181, YouTube, or the Cube. Several opportunities to view tonight's baseball game, Little Falls and Foley. Foley scored 4 times in the 3rd inning. That's all the scoring we've seen thus far. Little Falls had their best opportunity perhaps of the afternoon, evening thus far in the last half inning, and Jake Capan flew out to deep center with runners on 2nd and 3rd. Bunt attempt, and this is going to be a bunt single. Everybody's going to be safe. Really just a tough play that time.
Boy, and I think that one caught Flyers off guard there a little bit. I think that looked more like a bunt for a single as opposed to a sacrifice bunt there.
Yeah, so it was that time Byer went down the 3rd baseline, and A.J. Jenks, who's traditionally the 3rd baseman over at the 1st base side, and Byer is aboard. Advancing to 2nd is Foss, and now Noah Winkleman will bat here, and A.J. Jenks misses low in the dirt, ball 1. So Winkleman at the plate, another danger, and this is very similar to how the 3rd inning began for Foley. They had a runner aboard and Winkleman at the plate, and then he hit an extra base hit that was just about a step beyond the full sprint center fielder Austin Wise in that plate appearance. Now A.J. Jenks, a little trouble on the mound finding the strike zone, misses low and away, ball 2, 2-0 the count. And as much as you'd love to be able to pitch around a hitter, Winkleman with runners at first and nobody out here in the top of the 6th, you got to go after this hitter. And Winkleman watches another pitch low and away, ball 3, 3-0 the count.
And it's an auspicious start here for AJ. I think Kowski's going to come out, try to calm him down here, just tell him to get back, have some faith in his arm and faith in his defense, and just let the game come easy to him. He might be trying to do a little bit too much here, and
hammering the strike zone the first couple of pitches too. You figure, okay, he's off to a good start, and that number 9 hitter, which turned into a walk, it's really been struggling since then. And now another 4-pitch walk, and Winkleman is aboard. So now the bases are loaded. Foss is the runner at third, Byer at second, and Winkleman at first. And A.J. Jenks pitching for the Flyers here. Little Falls,
looks like they're going to move the infield in.
Move the infield in, trying to protect, and the play has got to come home here. A 4-0 game, and A.J. Jenks misses low, ball 1. So Tanner Brosh, who is 3 for 3 today with 3 singles and a run scored, also an RBI, he's at the plate with the bases loaded and nobody out in the 6th inning. Everybody playing in for field. Another pitch low in the dirt, ball 2. So 2-0 the count. Once again, Chakowski comes out to talk to A.J. Jenks. Just got to find himself here.
Yeah, he's been missing low a lot, Corey. A lot of balls in the dirt here and stuff. I guess if you want to miss, that's where you want to miss. But Foley not chasing those balls, so he needs to start throwing some strikes here.
So here, pitch with the bases loaded and a strike at the knees, 2-1 the count. Big difference between a 3-0 pitch with the bases loaded and a 2-1 pitch. You still got to come back, hammer the strike zone here. Same thing could be said with 3-1 or 2-2, but Jenks an opportunity to battle back in this at bat. This pitch a little, but taken for a ball, and now 3-1 the count. Nowhere to put the number 3 hitter Tanner Brosh with a hitter's count, nobody out, top of the 6th inning. And Jenks having struggles finding the strike zone. That last one a little closer, though. This one misses low, ball 4, and that will walk in a run for Foley. They will score. And still just a 1 hit this inning, but 3 walks issued by Jenks. He's having some troubles, and I feel bad for him out there, but looks like Little Falls are going to have a conference and possibly a pitching change here. They'd love to get Jenks going, and towards the tail end of the season, they're going to need him as another strong arm, but thus far has not had it yet. We'll see how long of a leash Jenks has with 3 walks and 4 batters faced in a single. It's tough start in the 6th inning as Poser went 5 innings, gave up those 4 hits in a row in the 3rd inning, but pitched pretty well. Jenks has struggled out of the here in the 6th inning, giving up the 1 run, and the base is still loaded, nobody out in the top of the 6th.
It looks like they are going to do a pitching change here, Corey.
Yeah, so this could be, as much as anything, you want to keep this game, but also looking forward what's best for the player too. And AJ, he's had a lot of success, was a big part of last year's team moving deep into the playoffs, and I think Coach Kaditz and Coach Allholm and Czech, the assistant coaches on the varsity, they know that this team is going to go as far as their pitching and their defense can carry them. Of hits and runs scored throughout the course of the year, but you just want to get in that psyche for Jenks. Say, okay, you gave up a couple of batters, just didn't have your stuff today, but we'll come back with you in a days and see if we can get the arm going. Then you'll have a lot better opportunity to keep that mentality positive moving forward than if you keep him out there and he struggles too much tonight.
Absolutely. Great point.
Yeah, so batting next for Foley is going to be Ian Von Wald. He is the catcher, the cleanup hitter. 5-0 is the score. And Little Falls, a new pitcher out there at the mound. Get that for you in a second here. He's warming up a little bit. Jake Capan is the new pitcher for Little Falls. He was the starting shortstop. And now as everybody shuffles around, Little Falls defensively down 5-0. 4 runs by Foley in the third, 1 here in the sixth already. And all the runners on be charged to A.J., who did not get an out in today's game, but just didn't have the control. Here this time, Capan misses 1-0 the count. Difficult situation, too, as a pitcher like coming into this contest because the bases are loaded. And the first hitter you're facing is the cleanup hitter.
Yeah, that's not ideal, that's for sure.
Another pitch, 0 away, ball 2, so 2-0 the count. It's a tough situation, but that's the one Little Falls is in, and Capan at the mound facing Ian Von Wald and Drew Murphy on bases loaded, nobody out in the 6th inning. This pitch taken for a strike, 2-1 the count. Little Falls and Foley, high school baseball today. Flyer Media Productions. Doug Dahlberg alongside myself, Corey Fink with the action. A 2-1 count. Capan, and this one is flared in foul territory, out of play on the left field side. And the count now 2 balls, 2 strikes. Drew Murphy is on deck, and Mark Durkis would follow. What a strikeout pitch with nobody out in the top half of the 6th inning. If Little Falls can find a way to wiggle out of this room, Capan will be able to feel very good about his effort. Just past the outstretched arms of the shortstop, couple of runs. Well, at least one is going to come in to score, and then runners will hold up. It was a single, but that time a single probably because the infield had to be playing in, and defensively Little Falls didn't have any other choices other than to do that. You got to keep the score where it is.
Absolutely, and that is the unfortunate part. You get bases loaded, if that's a normal situation, maybe not bases loaded or not 0 out or the infield playing normal, that could have potentially been a double play ball, but unfortunately it is what it is, and Falcons get another run here on a base hit up the middle.
And that one would be charged to A.J. Jenks, the second earned run of the inning charged to Jenks. We have seen a pitching change recently. Jake Capan is the new pitcher for the Flyers, defensively shuffling around the order. But Capan is pitching for Little Falls. The windup and the throw, and this one breaking ball, missing down, ball 1.
The Flyers still have the infield in here as there's no outs, and looks like we're going to get some more action in the Flyer bullpen here.
Yeah, so for Little Falls, this is not ideal situation, but it comes to show exactly what we've been spoiled in viewing and watching Flyer baseball in recent years, myself included, on a lot of those radio broadcasts that we've done, and we'll have a few of those on our radio station later this year. But Little Falls, when they are in games, they don't give up many walks. They don't have any errors. We've seen a couple of plays like that. Here, this one hit to left field and over the left fielder's head. And this one's going to go back to the wall. Lucas Savage will get it into the infield as quick as he can, but it is a 2 RBI double as 2 more runs come in to score, and both of these are charged to A.J. Jenks. The 4 batters he faced all came around to score. Drew with a double, and now Ian Von Wald, the runner for Von Wald, is at third, and Murphy is at second. All of a sudden, it is 8-0 Foley on top in the 6th inning, their second 4-run inning of the ball game, and still threatening with nobody out. A foul tip, 0-1 the count. Dirk is a hitter, and Jake Capan working for Little Falls. They have some upcoming games here, conference and section games in the week ahead. Won't have to think too long about this one.
Great curveball there.
Taken for a strike, 0-2 the count. Had good motion. Capan, a right-handed throwing hurler, and that time the curveball broke down and away from the hitter, a right-handed batter. That's one of the toughest pitches to hit. Now laced into right field. Josephson will play it on a hop and get it to the cutoff man. Will hold at the corners. One more run came in to score, another RBI single. And Durkis is aboard. Over to third base is Murphy. 7 straight hitters have reached here for Foley, many of them from walks early on, but now the last couple on some hits. Of Foley with 3 hits this inning and 4 walks. They have scored 5 runs, and they will bat now Noah Novak with nobody out still here in this next inning. That last one, again, a situation where maybe if nobody was out, might have been right at the first base. Now Josephson camps underneath it. A good catch, a throw home, and the cutoff. A run will score. Murphy came in to score on an RBI sacrifice fly off the bat of Noah Novak. And that's the first out here in the 6th inning. And Grant Mumm will bat next for Foley with a runner on first and the 9th hitter to bat now this inning for.
Looks like the Flyers pitchers haven't fooled anybody today. But you got to hand it to Foley. They've come out, they've got the sticks going. They're able to put up 6 runs this inning, and now it's a 10-0 lead, and Flyers in trouble of getting 10 run on their home field.
Yeah, not something we have seen a lot of here in recent years, especially on the other end. You know, we've seen some 10-run rule games here at Flyer Field, but very rarely in this fashion, and still base only 1 down in the 6th inning. Now the rule, how it would work here, you'd play 7 innings in high school baseball, but since we're past the 5th inning, if one team is ahead by 10 runs after a completed inning, then the contest would end. So Little Falls will have to score at least 1 plus any more that just to continue and see the 7th inning. Pitch taken for a strike. And now in that situation, I don't know if Thorsten would come out in the 6th inning, but he might actually have an opportunity. Jake Thorsten, the ace for Foley. You've built up that lead. If you're not in danger of the pitch count, you may throw him out there and give him an opportunity to try and get a complete game win. Here, a fly ball in foul territory, and the catch is made by Vetter, and the hitter is retired. And that looks to be the 2nd out of the inning.
Yeah, it's been a long inning, so we may not see Thorson just for the fact that he's been sitting for quite a long time as the Falcons have batted around here this inning. So they may bring somebody in to finish the last inning here and send him to the showers for the day.
And we'll see what happens, but Alex Foss is the hitter next for Foley. And this pitch, breaking ball taken for a strike. But we've seen a few uncharacteristic things for Little Falls, and if you're going to see them early in the year is the time to do so. Plenty of time, no reason to panic of any sorts. They're still a team that the process is there. Things just didn't go their way early, and then there were a couple of breaks throughout the course of the game where if the base loaded, it's a double play ball. If this one's played on the other end of third base, it's a double play ball. There were some breaks that went against Little Falls, and when they didn't score early, you know, if you have the lead, then Foley plays it a little different. Probably don't get that 4 runs in the 3rd. So Little Falls just needs to get back to focusing on what they can control as a fly ball hit to shallow right field, and it's actually the first baseman, and that might have been Vetter that made that grab at first base, but Alex Foss is retired on the fly out to first. So now we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. That time, Foley had 3 hits, but 4 walks, 6 runs score, and now lead 10-0 Little Falls. So we alluded to in the top half of that inning, Little Falls will need to score a run to keep this game going. Runs here between this inning and next to get back in this one, especially after the 6 runs were put up in that last half inning. And Thorsten was on the mound. We'll see if it's still him. It looks like it might still be him out there coming out to pitch what could be the final inning and a half inning of this particular game. A.J. Jenks will bat, and followed by Mitch Boros and Derek Poser. That was the due-up order for Little Falls in their lineup. Now, Little Falls, moving forward, win, lose, or draw on this one. Again, don't let the highs get too high. Don't let the lows get too low. I know that on the softball side, baseball and softball coaches have talked about different things. Ron Hinnenkamp in years past always talked about don't let one mistake snowball into another. And usually when he was talking about that, he would talk about it in the course of a single game. If you make one mistake, put it out of your head. Don't allow that to creep into your mind in the next at bat. A Little Falls, they might be faced with that from a game-to-game aspect here, because a 10-0 loss is the same as a 7-6 loss. It's just one loss in the books, and Little Falls turn the page, move forward, get right back in the driver's seat in the conference race, and hopefully driving for a very solid, successful year. They had a 20-plus win season last year and a lot of returning talent this year.
No, absolutely, Corey. You're right. It's a long season. We're early into the season now. The Flyers' bats have went cold a little bit the last couple games, but nothing that certainly can't change. We know they have the talent. We know they have the ability. It's just going out and getting the job done.
A foul tip off the end of the bat. Jinx, the batter for Little Falls. Derek Poser would follow for Little Falls. A.J. Jinx, he had an infield single his last time up, and I know he struggled on the mound but made a couple of really nice defensive plays from third base. This time he turns on one a little in front of it and lifts it high in the air. The shortstop with some problems, but Byer was able to make the grab, and Jinx flies out to short for the first out of the sixth inning on a ball that hung in the infield, and Byer had to stay with it.
Yeah, it looks like he made that play a little bit harder than it had to be. So, but again, could be causing him problems here, because that definitely was a high pop-up.
Yep, and Little Falls at home here today, down 10-0 to Foley right now. A breaking ball to Boros, taken for a strike. 0-1 the count. This is Boros' spot in the order. Thorsten still on the mound. This pitch taken outside, ball one. 1-1 the count. Little Falls, Foley on a Tuesday night high school baseball game. Flyer media options. Swinging a foul ball out of play over the Flyer dugout. For Little Falls, they'll turn the page here and likely fall to 2-2, barring a huge comeback here, and they're down to their final 5 outs. They would need to score a run to force a 7th inning. Foley in firm control and still with their ace on the mound in this early season matchup. And this is a swing foul tip right off of home plate, fielded in fair territory, in the throw to first in time. And Boros is retired on a 2-3 ground out right off of home plate, and Derek Poser will bat next for Little Falls. So Little Falls and Foley, and quickly back into the order, and a foul tip. This one might even be a pinch hitter for Little Falls, not sure, but down 10-0, Little Falls an opportunity at the plate, and just have some fun with these at-bats too, because fun sport, and you just got to enjoy every opportunity, every chance you get there at the plate. A high fly ball, flaring foul territory, diving after it, and did not come up with the play that time. The first baseman ended up on his stomach. Foley, this will be a big win for Foley on their season moving forward, especially with how the QRF rankings work, because Little Falls likely to stack up some wins hopefully throughout the course of the season. And, you know, the Flyers have an opportunity to turn the page moving forward. What was your thought there?
I was just going to say that was a great effort by the Falcon first baseman, laying himself out with a 10-0 lead. It's kind of nice to see that they're playing to the end.
Noah Novak, his name, a breaking ball taken for a ball. 1 ball, 2 strike the count, I think, as I have it. This would be the spot in the order where Poser was at. And now swing strike 3, and that will be the end of this one. So a swinging strikeout for Little Falls, and they went up, 3 down in that particular contest. But Little Falls not the result they wanted here tonight. But let's focus on some of the process and what you saw here, Doug. Little Falls, they had a lot of patience at the plate. Things didn't go their way early on, and it seems like one of the keys maybe for a Little Falls team, we didn't see it on Thursday, we didn't see it tonight, but could be to come out, score the first run. That's part of it. Big inning, answer back, score first. Also avoid those errors and 2-out hits. But scoring first for this team might be really, because you can play the game very differently, play some small ball instead of trying to come up with that big inning. If the other team, like Sartell, had a couple runs on Thursday, and we saw a similar story with Foley tonight, scoring 4 in the third inning. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely, Corey. I think you're right. The common denominator that we've seen between both these games is Little Falls' inability to advance their runners and get them through, kind of come through with the big 2-run hits or 2-out hits. And again, to give up then defensively, again, Hoser pitched great. He only gave up, I think, 4 hits, but they all came together. Kind of when they lost to Sartell, they got all their runs when all their hits were bunched in just 1 inning and stuff. So now, granted, Jinx came in. He did not pitch well. He gave up 4 walks, which ended up coming around to score.
Yeah,
and then
3 walks, 4 around to score, and that kind of changed the inning. And then there was still nobody out, bases loaded. Capan came in, did what he could, a ground ball that might have been a tailor-made double play ball, but the infield's in, doesn't have a chance to react, gets into the infield or into the outfield. All of a sudden 2 runs come across to score. So you might look at it and say, well, Capan didn't do that much better, but he really did. He was pitching effectively. It was just one of those situations where when you come in, nobody out, bases loaded, down by 4, you've got to take all the risk defensively. And if they don't pay off, if everything doesn't work out perfectly, well, then Foley's going to have an excellent opportunity to score a big inning, and that's what we saw unfold here tonight. So Foley now, just like Little Falls, 2-1 in the Granite Ridge Conference. Their lone loss came to Albany, a team Little Falls will have a chance to see later this spring, and that'll be maybe one of the biggest matchups of the year, because it won't just be a Granite Ridge Conference game, but also a section game. In Little Falls, you're looking at Thief River Falls, Bemidji. Bemidji had a player as a sophomore last year that's going to be one of the best players in the area, really, and he's just a junior this year. But there are some talented teams in Section 8 3A, but Little Falls, I still feel good pitting their talent, their experience, and everything up against any other roster they'll see throughout the course of the year.
Absolutely, and I think what you said, actually talking about that Albany game, I believe that is on Flyer Media Productions. That is our last televised game of the year. A good one.
And that'll come up in the middle of May. Really looking forward to that contest. Also upcoming here on Flyer Media Production, a game next Monday with Little Falls and Albany High School softball, and then we will also air the high school prom. I'll be the MC for that particular evening. But for tonight's broadcast, Owen Kircher and Bradley Youngblood, once again, marvelous job, guys, with the camera work. Dave Gertz helping out the crew here tonight for this particular game. But we have a lot of things to look forward to. Flyer Media Productions, this is exciting because it's not just the high school, but also a lot of the middle out in this broadcast too. It's just neat to see the personnel for Little Falls come together.
Absolutely, they do a great job.
So Little Falls and Foley tonight, a 10-0 victory in total for the Foley Falcons. That's going to about do it for this evening's broadcast. Again, at high school softball next week, and then the prom is a week from Friday night. Flyer fans and parents know that high school parent-teacher conferences come up next Monday, 3:45 to 6:45 in the high school commons. For Doug Dahlberg, this is Corey Fink thanking you for viewing. Any final thoughts before we go, Doug?
I think just that Coach Caddick's going to be happy to see us go, Corey. He hasn't scored a run in our 2 games we've telecast. So.
Well, that being stated, we'll be back later in the year, and I'm sure things will be a little differently. Don't let the highs get too high. Don't get the lows get too low. Focus on what they can control, and this team will be fine moving forward. The final score tonight, though, bad guys 10, good guys nothing. Foley does win 10-0 here at Flyer Field. Thank you for viewing, everybody. Good night.